if you've seen previous videos, you should already have assemblies that look similar to this and this. So I'm not going to bother covering them. Also, you already know how to adjust the length of this chain, so similarly, not going to cover that. Alright, let's start. So, first, place your base kit metal like so. Make sure that your overlaps are consistent so that you don't end up with a spiral of sorts. You want to make sure that whatever metals you have on top are consistent. So you'll notice I have the front and back on top and the left and right on the bottom. Just make sure you do that in the future. Now we're going to assemble this and make our 4-bore. These are nylon lock nuts. Krebs nuts work just as well. They're the ones with the flange on the bottom. The advantage of Krebs over nylock, so you don't have to do this. You just spin them all the way down. Over nylock is tighter and longer lasting. So, as always, it's a trade-off, as with everything in engineering. Come on. Little guy's tough. Yeah, that's the problem with nylock. If you do actually end up having to struggle with it, just power through. It's just plastic on the inside, so really all you're doing is forcing it. It's metal, it doesn't care. Alright, now before you completely tighten it and get it really tight on, you want the ability to at least bend these guys a little bit, but you want them resisting your movement. This is so that when we have the final assembly done, we can get everything nice and square. Alright, now I'm just going to do this for the other 3. Alright, your 4-bar linkage should be complete now. So now you're going to want to install your plastic. But to do that, you need to install the aluminum that supports it. So you can either count it out, measure it out, all that business, or just drop them in to see what's the right space on it. Then nice and parallel. Good. Alright, now we're going to install the aluminum and bolt. Remember, now it's the same thing you've done 4 times already. You'll be doing it 8 times if you can count. Okay. Oh, damn. Oh, I just cursed on this camera. Moving on. Okay. Alright, now, okay, so you've finished the inner bars of your parallel bars, so now you're going to mount your plastic. Okay, you'll notice that your plastic is not symmetric about this axis. There are these 2 big holes right here. These holes are meant to go with these fellows here. These are your casters. They hold the weight of the robot in the front of the robot. So now we're going to install them. Okay, you're going to install them just short, like so. Okay. And mirror that on the opposite side. Like so. Now, you're actually only going to do 1, so I'm just going to pull that guy out. Now, continue bolting. Again, bolt it on. Oh, wrong bolt. Nut. Right bolt, wrong nut. And you've seen this lots of times. So you've now installed this. You've probably put these bolts on. I would definitely recommend it. However, it's not entirely necessary. All right, now it's time for the second piece of plastic. All right, if you put the bolts on, this should be a perfectly snug fit. So squeeze it in. Perfect. All right. Now, typically, you would have these 2 1/4-inch holes on this bottom half. In essence, you would have this piece flipped. However, for the sake of demonstration, we have put these bolts here so that we can mount the older motor mounts. They are an outdated design and will normally they will normally mount to these two holes here. Small technicality, it really shouldn't be that large of a difference. All right, now I'm going to do the exact same thing I did for the last one. Put all 4 bolts on and bolt them on. All right, so now we'll be mounting the motors. This is not how you normally be mounting them. When you have your own kit, there'll be 2 to 4 bolts, depending on the final design, and they will be going into these holes along the edge here, as well as these holes back here. However, for this time, I've flipped the board and played just a few bolts, and we're just going to mount these just so it looks nice. So, it's a quick jump cut, and you can see it afterwards. All right, you've now mounted your motors on. You finished that. Now you're going to be mounting the wheel assembly. All right, simply place them like so, and leave them there. Just kidding. All right, so now you're going to careful with that so you don't hurt your motors. What you want to do is you want to take this bolt head, make sure it passes just so. Oh, it's finicky. Using a longer bolt is probably better than what I'm doing right now, but eventually you want to have the bolt hanging down from the axle mount right here. Do that on both sides. Pop the head. So you also notice that we have the bolts upside down from what we've had every other bolt up until now as. All right. Now simply get one side on. Pass it through its hole. It's sticky, finicky hole. Now take your bolts, and using an Allen key on the opposite side, or a hex key, whatever you want to call it, push down, pinch it between your 2 fingers, and push down. So that way you can ensure that the bolt sticks through. This guy was a bit stuck, so he's now falling out through his own accord. All right, you also notice I have the motor turned away. This is simply because we're using the motors as props. They'll just sit there and just take up space for now. Really, everything will work out much more nicely in the future. Everything's just a little bit off right now. Still working on it. All right, so you have your wheels on and hopefully your drivetrain on. You'll notice that the motors are mounted at cockeyed right now. It's just because they're not right. They're old motor mounts. In the future, this will all be very different. However, I would recommend following steps generally. This is mostly to give you an impression of about where the motors go. This is not what it's actually going to be like. All right, now moving on. What we have next are the casters. We have our drivetrain on our robot. However, we lack casters. These are what's supported in the front. So, continue on. Simply place them through the holes, that right there. This is the importance about the 1/4-inch hole and its placement. If you don't do this, it simply doesn't fit. All right. Oh, also, of course, large that. Place down. Get to work. And, excuse me. All right. Now, once you have your first caster on, you want to make sure you want to give it a spin and make sure it doesn't do that. Now, this is this caster hitting this nut here. It's just the slightest difference, and it's a very easy mistake. I made it myself, and I'm the one doing the video. And all you have to do is simply undo the bolt, flip it, and it'll be right as rain. I'm going to do that right now, and we'll get back to you.